Hi friends, welcome back to Brenna Knows Best. I'm your host, Brenna Berg. Happy Monday. How are you guys? I was just sitting here thinking about what I wanted to tell you, and honestly, not a damn thing has happened since last week. I did end up buying that coffee table from World Market, so if you want to go to my Instagram Tuesday, I'll have a photo. She's gorge. The real bummer is that our old coffee table, it had the top would flip out, so we would use it as like an eating tray, so it's harder to eat. But I just ran to Target this morning and got 2 TV trays. They were on sale from $10.99 to $7 something, so I got them for $7. So he doesn't know that yet when he gets home, and I moved the coffee table farther so that way hopefully it stays in place, because I'm like, if this one, the reason the last one broke and got so janky was because we move it, well, and because it was cheap. This one from World Market, it was on sale, so it was like just around $300, which for a nice wood solid, like it's like 80 pounds. It's really good, I think. I mean, you can get coffee tables from like West Elm for like $1,000. I wasn't about to do that, but $300, amazing. I'm still trying to figure out if I want to get chairs for the living room. Sorry, I'm really just jumping into this ramble. Or I could just use these little stools that I sit on. We have these little poofy chairs that I got from Target a long time ago for the end of the bed. When our family's here, just put them out in the living room so we can all sit. But I go in waves of like spending money and then spending no money, and I'm kind of back in my spend no money era, so I really don't want to have to buy chairs. What else was I going to tell you guys? Okay, let's jump into the book update really quick. I'm still reading this book, The Story of Edgar Sawtelle. See, it's so good. Once I'm sitting in my bed reading, I'm like in it to freaking win it, but it doesn't have me on the edge of my seat. It's not like a thriller sort of book. It's really just like a beautiful story, and I'll talk a little bit about it. So I'm not like picking it up every second I get. And you guys, the weather is nice. So typically in the mornings, Carter and I go to the gym and I walk and I read at the same time. But now I've been going outside and hitting the Katy Trail. So I haven't been reading in the morning as well, which is typically like an hour on the treadmill. So I'm on page 215. You guys, the story of Edgar Sawtelle. Edgar is a boy who is mute. Okay, he can hear, he can see, he just can't speak, and he lives on a farm in Wisconsin. Set in 1950, so way back when. And I know the reason LaDonna liked it is probably because it reminds her, and it reminds me of like my childhood. Like they live in rural Wisconsin. They play card games. They actually breed dogs, which LaDonna is a dog lover. So it's a lot to do with the dogs and them being on the farm. And it's so heartbreaking, but wonderful at the same time. Like his dad just passed. And get this, you guys. Okay. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't ruin it. I would never probably recommend this to you guys because I feel like you guys like the Frida and the smut and all of that. Beautiful book nonetheless. But basically he was at home out with the dogs and his dad collapsed and he went to call 911. He can't speak. And they like had practiced so many scenarios, but they never thought of that happening, and his dad passed, which obviously this is 1950s. I don't remember what happened. He had a stroke or something, but how heartbreaking. So now him and his mom are like maintaining the farm and doing all of the things. It's wonderful, but I'm still on this book. What else has happened? Carter got his cap and gown for graduation, so that's exciting. I have been up to not much. Oh, you guys, not like you guys probably care that much, but obviously you guys know probably that content creators have managers, and I've never done that because I don't really make that much money on this. I kind of just do it for funsies, although I know that there's like money making potentials. I'm just trying to figure out the best avenue. But I had a call last week with this management team out in New York, which I'm not going to talk too much about them, but I think I might sign with them. They're super small, super niche, which really I feel like it would be, I don't know. We'll see. I have a call with the whole team next week, so I'm excited about that. And they get my vision. Like, I don't want to do a million brand deals, and that's not really their specialty, but that's exciting. I also, you guys, I never talk about like the PR influencer side of things, but Obviously, you guys know I get PR, but I recently got invited to this Celsius event at Coachella. I think it's next week. I was like, nah, homies, I'm not flying here just to go to this event, but I'm sure there'll be a ton of cool people there. It would be great to network, and I want to do that eventually, but right now I'm not just going to fly to LA to drive out for this one event. I don't think, just because I'd be paying all this money for what? To go to a cool party. And like, you know me, I don't even really like going out. I like connecting and I like networking, but that setting is a little different. But that's what's going on. I always talk to you guys and it's always Carter updates. I have things that like happen and go on behind the scenes, but I feel like it's kind of boring and I don't talk to you. And it's also like the behind the scenes of content creation, which, speaking of, oh my God, I'm going to be so annoying. Can you guys write a little review? Not write a little review, just give a 5-star review. Oops, I hit the microphone. Okay, you don't have to do 5 stars, but if you constantly listen to this on Spotify or Apple, can you just leave a review? Because it's hard for me to grasp how this is going, because there's not, like, on TikTok, I see comments, girls message, I get Instagram DMs, but with the podcast, it's harder to get feedback, especially on Spotify, because I don't think you can even write. I think you literally just give a star review. So if you guys could do that for me, I know that's so fucking annoying, but I would appreciate it. And what else has happened? I think that's it. I have some Amazon skirts that come in today. So by the time this is out, you'll have seen my post. I imagine I'm going to post about them if they're good. I'm super excited for that. And the Sephora sale is about to happen. So I have my best friend who's a makeup artist. So I just type in her phone number when I go to Sephora. I hope nobody that could use that against me is listening. And so I get the discounts, like it's a Rouge sale or whatever. So if you guys have any Sephora recommendations, tell me, Instagram, DM me. Because do I need anything? No. But do I potentially want things, or will I tell myself I need stuff? Yes. So let me know about that. I was just thinking about it because I'm almost out of my freaking Laneige, and I know I don't want to spend $24 again. And I hate sticking my goddamn finger in here, even though it's good. My Aquaphor and my Vaseline Little Lippy, well, I accidentally, both of my Vaseline Little Lippies ended up in the washer and dryer, so they're donezo, but they weren't really working anyway. So I'm still trying to find a good lip balm that moisturizes, but could also be a gloss. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but that's what I've been looking for. And what else has happened? Let me give you a Carter update. He's busy as fuck. So he took that test last week, and now he's just going to finish his paper. He has 2 weeks of school left. Today will be Monday, obviously. So yeah, 2 weeks left. Oh, and next week, you guys, next week's episode is going to be on me and Carter. All of your guys' cues on me and Carter, we're gonna relive the memes. I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna do that, because next Monday, when like the following episode from this one comes out, it's our 1-year anniversary. Can you believe that? A year ago, did not know that I was about to meet Carter. Like, I love thinking about, like, where was I a year ago? And I was dating. Like, I was probably going on a date today, a year ago, before I met Carter. That's crazy. So fun episode next week. That'll be a big just about me and Carter sesh. But let's get into your guys' questions. I didn't get that many questions, probably like 20 or 30, which is perfect. So I'm going to go through all of these, and it'll just be a chit chat. There's not a lot of exact scenarios, but I have like, how do I break up with a toxic friendship? Brenna, I went on a date with a boy, but he hasn't messaged me. Just a bunch of like random things. So let's just start. Okay, first question. I'm close with my brother and I don't like his girlfriend. I don't think she's a good match for him. Do I tell him? Do I let it play out? What would Brenna do? Brenna would shut her fucking mouth and not say a thing. And here's the thing. I get it, wanting to help. And if you're really close with your brother and you know him, I totally understand where you're coming from. But I also think, one, yes, you could be totally right, but I think everything's going to happen how it's supposed to happen. I am just always in favor of letting people do what they want to do and be there as support. Like, when people come to me and try and tell me their opinions of what they want me to do, I'm going to still do what I want to do. And another sort of side of this is you might not know what your brother needs in a partner. I know you know him, but our relationships, our romantic relationships, like nobody really knows your brother in whatever capacity a romantic relationship is there for him. For example, my brother and his wife are polar opposites in terms of just who they are. I love his wife so much, but she is an extrovert. He is an introvert. She's like super crafty and super like outgoing. And my brother's so quiet and like nerdy. But apparently they worked. I don't know the ins and outs of their relationship. And that's none of my business. But they work great together. I mean, they've been together for like 10 years, married for I don't know how many. So like, for example, if I had met her right away, which I don't remember all of that, and like saw that they were so different, like just because I have that opinion, like who's to say that they're still happy and rocking? I love his wife so much. Like we're a lot alike. Like I'm the outgoing one and like me and her can like banter and stuff. But for my brother, like they're complete opposites in that sense, but you don't know like how they connect on a deeper level. So, which if she seems super toxic and whatever, like I get it. There are signs and like, you're like, no, bitch, she's horrible. Again, you're going to have to let your brother learn. And I think number one, he's going to do what he wants to do anyways. But number two, like we all learn things at our own pace. And like, if she is super toxic, like he'll learn from this. So like, I would just let it play out. But of course, I support whatever you want to do. If she's like really bad, abusive, like that's very different. But if it's just like you don't vibe with her, I don't think that's your place. Like you're not the one dating her. What if she really makes your brother happy? You know, I don't know. And maybe she doesn't, but I would just let it play out. I'm always the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. Okay. She's a wonderful, like motivational speaker. I don't know what you would call her. You got to let people do what they're going to do. And you wouldn't be able to change his mind or control him anyways. So if you want to like put your 2 cents, similar to like if you had a friend, like, hey, you know, I'm worried about you. Just like, I don't know if she makes you happy or like, this is what I think. You can maybe voice your opinions, but I wouldn't expect him to do anything about it because he's a grown adult, I imagine. Or about to be. I don't know how old he is. That also comes into play. So just let him do what he's going to do is what I would do. Okay. Keeping an ex's sister in your friend group. We all really clicked and then my ex and I broke up. I don't like that. What would Brenna do? She would probably do the friend fade away. Like, it sucks. And even though you click, every single ex-boyfriend of mine, I loved their family. I loved their siblings, every single one. But we're not dating anymore. And like, that is your connection. That is your tie, is the ex. And like, it just is messy, even if it's not like currently, you know, if it's very separate from your ex-boyfriend. I just think similar to people wanting to be friends with their exes, there are so many people in this world, like you just are still attached to them. It sucks. Like, again, all of my exes, like I love them and they were a part of my life for a moment in time, but now we've moved on. And I just think like if, you know, for example, if Carter was really close to one of his ex-girlfriend's brothers, I just think it's weird. I don't know. I just think it's kind of unnecessary. It's different. Like, for example, you know, if you touch base like every once a year, you know, like a check-in, but like hanging out constantly, I feel like whether you want to believe it or not, you're doing that to stay somewhat close to your ex. I know you're not going to like that. You're like, no, I'm not. I think subconsciously we do that. So I would try and, you know, fade away, in my opinion. Okay, you got broken up with, 2 weeks later, new girl posts pics and they're in love. Whatever, who cares what the fuck he's doing? He's not your forever person. He's no longer your person. Goodbye. Don't care. Had a great first date, asked for my number at the end of the date and said he'd text me about a second. He never texted. We seem very compatible to me. I never like a guy after one date. I'm so confused. This is going to hurt, but clearly he didn't have that same reaction to the date. Clearly he didn't think that you guys were compatible. He didn't, you know, you could have gotten along, but if he isn't vibing, or he could be talking to another girl that he has a stronger connection with, like you really just have to understand that if he hasn't reached out, he doesn't want to go on another date, there's nothing to be confused about. Like, it's just, he's not the one. And I know that sucks because when we ourselves like never connect with people and you finally do and then they don't feel that way, it's super discouraging. It's super upsetting. Rejection always sucks, but like, what are you going to convince him? Are you going to find him, get his number somehow and say, hey, why didn't you text me? I like that, first dates, ghosting after a first date, I think is okay. And some of you might have strong opinions on that, but like, it was one date, even if you got along, like there's a compatible factor. Like what if he wasn't, physically attracted, which I have a question. The reason I said that is because I'll get to a question where a girl's not physically attracted. That's a huge piece of the puzzle. Like there are so many things. He could still be talking to his ex. He could be talking to another girl. He could be about to move. Like you don't know what's going on. So that sucks. But at least you had that connection with somebody. So you know that that's out there. I know after date, after date, after date, when you aren't vibing with people after a first date, you're like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? So take that as like a wonderful thing that, okay, connection is out there, even though it didn't work with this one. Like it's a little bit encouraging that it is out there and you can connect with people, So I would just view it as try and see the positive, and that's it. I mean, there's not really much to be confused about. Like clearly there's something stopping him from reaching out, and sorry, that's just that. Okay, I'm having a dilemma between two men. One's 22 and one's 32. What does the age have to do with it? Just keep dating and I think it'll become clear. Yep. Okay. Do you feel like you should wait until they commit to you, boyfriend, girlfriend, before having sex? Personally, no. Which I don't think that's a bad thing. If you want to wait, or people wait for marriage, like I'm not dogging anybody else, but never have I waited to commit to have sex, because here's another life lesson with Brenna. Having sex, whether on the first date, whether on the 100th date, is never going to change a man's perspective on you. There was like this myth going around, I'm sure it still goes around, that don't have sex with a man on the first date because then he'll ghost, or like you're giving it up, you're too easy. Da, da, da. If a man is interested in you and wants to date you and you had sex on the first date, it wouldn't deter him. Okay. But I think what happens is a man cannot be interested to begin with, and you just so happen to have sex and then he goes ghost. Like if you would have waited, I don't know. I think that's just such a bad, like it's the chase. Like it's such a game, which I'm not recommending, having sex on the first date. But if you're in a position, I get girls that message me about this. Like, oh my gosh, we had sex on the first date and now he hasn't answered. Like, was it because we had sex? No, like even if you didn't, if he's not interested, he's not interested. Because I know plenty of couples that did have sex on the first date and then it continued. Like it doesn't mean a thing. So if you want to wait to have sex until you're boyfriend and girlfriend, pop off. Like if that's a boundary for you, then do that. Like if you want to see that through and be like, just to make sure that he's not here for the wrong reasons. Because I know for women, when we have sex, we do get attached. Like there is some sort of psychological and also I think biological thing in us that when we have sex with a person, we are more connected to them. Like that is just a fact. So if you do it to protect yourself, pop off. Like totally respect that. Do that. But do I think you need to wait for them to commit to have sex? No. Does that make sense? So that's just my thoughts on that. Okay. As a single lover girly, I know I'm independent and will not settle, but I'm 31 plus and I want a man. Here's the thing. That is the perfect spot to be in. And I know it might not feel that way, but you will not settle. Like that's already decided. So really now what I would suggest is just going on a lot of dates to like meet and find your person, because what happens is, this is how it's been for me, because I'm like hyper independent, or was. I think I would still say I am, but it doesn't matter. Once you're so okay being by yourself, it takes a wonderful man to pull you from that. Like you will know you found the one when you no longer want to be independent, aka my Carter, obviously. Like I would rather be by myself 100 times out of 100. Okay. But once Carter came into my life, I was now in a place where I'd rather be with him, and I enjoy being with him so much that it pulled me out of that. So okay, I would just go on hella dates. Like it's okay to want a man. Like I don't know where also that myth comes from, like the girl boss to the fucking sun movement. I hate that. It's okay to want companionship. That is so normal. That's so biological. That's so innate. Like it's in us to want a relationship, to want a family. Like do not ever let somebody make you feel bad that you want to be in a relationship. You are in the perfect position that you are independent. You love your alone time. That is wonderful. But now you just need to date and meet people and then find the one who pulls you out of that. That's my thoughts. Okay. My ex just broke, no contact, and I don't know what to do. Do not answer. Block. Don't allow him to contact you. Like, nothing good is going to come from speaking to him. Just saying. Okay. When making a move on a boy, how bold is too bold? At the bar, over text, etc. Be you, boo. Okay. Be you. Nothing is too bold for your person. Like, never analyze like what you're doing. Oh my gosh, did I say too much? Did I do too much? For your person, whoever is going to be your person, you will never be too bold. So just do what feels right to you. Okay? Amazing. Okay. What would Brenna do if her significant other was an overthinker and can't get out of his head even though he trusts you? Like, about what? I would just like keep communicating, keep getting to the bottom of it. But if he's like insecure and you guys are always like arguing, or I don't know, I need more examples on that, but communication is always key. Like, keep getting to the bottom of it. But if he's like always overthinking and like, stressing you out and like making you jump through hoops to ease his mind, like, I don't think that's a good partner. Sorry. Like, nobody wants to be with an insecure person. And I get it. We're all working through our shit. But like, if it's affecting you on a daily basis that he's always overthinking and is like, do you love me? Is like so needy. Like, I couldn't deal with that. And that's okay. Like, don't feel bad. Again, I made a video on this recently, kind of tying into this, like, just because somebody is trying their best, like, this happens so many times with men. They're like, I'm doing all I can. Like, I'm trying not to overthink. I'm doing, as much as I can, as much as I can afford, whatever. Just because somebody's trying their best does not mean that it's enough for you. And just because like maybe he's trying to get over this, but it's still every single day is annoying to you that he's like so needy and so clingy, like, that's just that. Just because he's trying his best doesn't mean that it's meeting your needs or that it's okay for you. It's kind of harsh, but sorry, it's true, in my opinion. Everything to me that comes out of my mouth is true, is a fact, but it's also my opinion. Okay. I apologize. Okay. 3 dates in and they go so well in person, but he's basically a ghost over text and no kiss yet. I don't think that's bad as long as he's like planning dates. Like, if you guys leave a date and the next date he's like, okay, can I take you out on Tuesday? And it's Friday, but you don't really talk in between. I would rather have that every day of the goddamn week rather than somebody who texts but doesn't ask you out. So like, it just depends, because also like, we have become so needy in texting in the modern age. Like, people text 24/7. Think about, like, I know this is so far down the line because you'd probably date for a couple years, but like, when you are married, is he going to go to work and text you 24/7? No. I hope not anyways. Like, if you are a literal grown adult and you guys are texting 24/7 throughout the day, I think that's a little bit unhealthy. Again, opinion. I think it's fact, but it is just an opinion. So like, I would much rather have this. Like, you see each other. He's planning the dates. He's putting an effort. He's taking you out. Like, texting means nothing. Okay. So like, as long as he's continuing or following up and asking you on dates, I think that's great. But again, we all have our different standards. So if you need more, I would just communicate that. Like, hey, I would love to just maybe like chat at the end of each day, like a call or just like a, hey, how are you doing? Like, communicate your needs. But I think that's fine. I love that. Like, that is my preferred state. Like, don't fucking text me all the time, especially in the early talking stages, because how often does it turn into dating? Not that often, in my opinion. So yeah. How to heal from a breakup when you truly loved that person. You don't speak to them. You cut them off. You take the time. Okay. Don't jump back into dating. Be alone. Feel your feelings. Okay. Be sad. Be mad. Be upset. Maybe seek therapy if you're really down, but it really does just take time. If there was a quick fix for breakups, like, everybody would know it by now. Everybody would be doing the thing, but yeah, that's just, that's all I got for you. Listen to my breakup episode. Like, everybody goes through breakups with people they truly loved. It's just no longer speaking to that person because it really hinders you keeping in contact, and then just taking the time. Speaking of going through a divorce after 4 years, how do I even start dating again? Here's the thing. Number one, take as much time. Like if you don't feel ready, do not jump into the dating pool. But if you're on the cusp and you feel like you want to start dating again, you're just going to have to rip off the Band-Aid, join the apps, okay? Or if you don't want to, then put yourself out there. But it's going to be hard right away. The first date is going to feel uncomfortable. You might go home and cry. Like that is such a common thing for women because the last person you dated, you were married. Like you have been with one person for over 4 years, probably 5-6 years. But the more you do it, the more confidence you get and the easier it gets. I had to block someone. How do I not feel awful and guilty about it? You can feel awful and guilty about it. It's not fun to block somebody. Well, sometimes it is, but feel awful, feel guilty, but keep them blocked. Like if this is a toxic person, which I imagine it is, this is the best thing for you and it'll get easier. Like it is so much better to feel guilty than to allow this person to still be in your presence, like ruining your days, or like affecting your life in a big way. So it'll subside, it'll take time probably. I just am looking at myself in the camera and am I a ghost? Nobody said I was going to have good video quality. We just have video quality. So I'm sorry about that. To get back on the apps or try to meet someone naturally, I'm a big apps person. I'm like the biggest apps advocate because, for example, I'm not a go out bitch. So like, where was I going to meet my person? But do whatever feels right to you. You can hate the apps totally. Like, but I just think there's a big movement. People are like, the dating apps suck. It's all shitty men, which of course, are there going to be shitty men on there? Yes, but there are also going to be shitty men at a bar. Like it is just the fact of life. So do whatever you want to do and whatever feels natural. And I think I got a question about where to meet people. We'll get to that later because I don't remember the exact question, but I'll get to that. How would you get your work crush's number or IG smoothly, aside from you not supporting work flings? Well, let me get it straight. I don't support that. But if you're going to do that, number one, really think about, is this a person I see often? And if this doesn't work out, it's going to be hella awkward. Okay, just saying. But I would just either like plan something with other coworkers and then invite him or be like, hey, like, can I get your number? Like, let me just text you the info for our happy hour. Or show him something on Instagram or like just say something like, I need to send you this. Like if it's an inside joke, there are ways to be cool. Like make it organic. Just like, I think, yeah, what I just said to you. Okay, that's what I would do if I were messaging a coworker, which I wouldn't do. Love you. Coworker is talking about me behind my back and trying to stop my promotion. Number one, that seems like a hella toxic workplace. But number two, I mean, if they're talking to the higher ups, you can talk to them and have them hear your side. But I also feel like that's such a bad look on the coworker to be talking shit. So like, I would just let that play out. Like if you're a good person and you do good things and you're good at your job, you're okay. When one of your best friends gets with your ex-boyfriend 3 years after you broke up, that's not your fucking best friend and you're no longer friends with that person. That is so shitty, regardless of how long it's been, regardless of the situation. I mean, and it's awkward. Like, what are you guys going to talk about? Her dating your ex? Like, updates from her and the boyfriend? No, I would just cut that person off. Okay. This one I got to zoom in here. I met a very handsome guy who seems to be everything I would want and checks all my boxes. He would treat me like a queen, but I'm not sure how to tell him kindly that I am an independent girl and don't always need to be extensively cared for. I feel like others would tell me I'm crazy and to take what he gives, but I'm not used to it. He put my shoes on for me like I do for the 3-year-old I babysit for. I kind of cringed inside. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. Am I being dramatic? I get the feeling he would want to do everything with me. Well, see, if that's not how you are, which I'm not that person either, that's crazy because you should have independence in your relationship. And don't get me wrong, like I love when Carter does things for me and I was hyper independent, but there's like an extreme. I don't think you're crazy at all. And if it like cringes you out, your feelings are so valid. I would just express that to him. Like if you do really like him and for the most part, everything's good, just be like, hey, just so you know, like I am very independent and I want to keep that in a relationship. Like I want to be able to do things by myself. And like, there are things that I can do by myself. Just express that, because if he really likes you and really cares about you, he will understand that and will like take a step back or like communicate with you and figure out what works for you guys. And if he doesn't, if he's offended because he wants to wait on you hand and foot, like that was never going to work anyways if you're hyper independent and he wants to baby the shit out of you. So I would just bring it up and be like, hey, like, I appreciate all that you do for me, because that's like for real, be honest, but say just how you feel and who you are. Communication again is key. And like anything that you bring up with your forever person will understand and communicate back to you. And if they don't, that's not your person. Because again, you're not going to bring it up. You're going to let him baby you, even though you hate it. Like that's going to fizzle out anyways. So I would just communicate with him. But love that for you, even though you hate it. I mean, I like that he does stuff, because same for me with Carter. Like sometimes I have to remember like, oh my gosh, I have Carter and he wants to help. Like the other day I brought in the coffee table and I pulled it up and I carried it and it was heavy and it was big and I used the wagon, and he got home and he's like, babe, I could have went with you and helped you. And I'm like, oh, sorry. Like I just do it. And he wasn't offended by any means, but like I do try and lean on him, and he does so much for me. He cleans the whole apartment. He cooks a lot, whatever, but there's a happy medium. So I get what you're saying 100%. What would Brenna do if he says, I won't marry you, my last marriage didn't work? Here's the thing. Let's make it black and white. Do you want marriage? Yes. He says he can't marry you. You guys aren't compatible. That's never going to work. Break up. I know that it's hard and you're like, I love this person. If you want marriage and he doesn't, that is a huge compatibility issue. It's never going to work. One of you, if you agree to do what the other wants, if you don't get married or he does it because you wanted it, you're going to resent that person, and that's just that. Or you're never going to see eye to eye and you're just going to waste your time. So that's what Brenna would do. I would end it. Okay, I went on a date with a guy who is really nice, great personality, doing all the things I would want a possible boyfriend to do, but not sure if I'm physically attracted. Thoughts. Physical attraction is huge. I don't know if people want to say that compatibility, sexual compatibility isn't important. It is so important. Wanting to have sex with your partner is important. Wanting to cuddle and to be intimate. Like that is such a huge part of a relationship. So if you're not physically attracted to him and it's been a few dates, like I know girls get in this situation and you're like, maybe it'll grow, and potentially it could, but if you're not feeling it after a few dates, like he can be the nicest, most wonderful, most caring guy. You need to be sexually attracted to him. And if you're not, that's a huge compatibility issue. Again, like what, you guys are going to get married and how are you going to have kids? You don't even want to have sex with this man. Just saying. So yeah, I would probably cut ties. Not probably, I would. Ooh, good B-Day gifts for a boyfriend. So let me think about all the things I've gotten Carter. A wallet from Exter, this cool like sleek wallet. A little travel dop kit. Okay, I like to give functional gifts, things that they'll use. You can always do cologne. I recently got him AirPods. Honestly, you can do socks and underwear if you know his favorite things. Like always, if it's something he's been needing. Let me think. Oh, I have it on my Amazon storefront. Actually, let me go look what's in there quick. This is not a plug by any means, but I know that I have a little thing that I made for the holiday season. 1 second. Ooh, a Hatch alarm clock. Something that he would never get for himself, but so good. Ooh, an espresso. I got Carter an espresso. Oh my gosh, you guys. A bidet. Okay, if you don't know what a bidet is, it's the thing that sprays your butt. Okay, every man needs this. Carter is the biggest bidet advocate of all time. Like this man had one when I met him. When we got here, we went to Kohler to find one that matches ours. He eats, sleeps, literally shits by it. Like he loves his bidet. He cannot live without a bidet. Like when we go somewhere, when we were gone on our road trip in December, he was like crying every day that he didn't have his bidet. Any man needs that and will love it. Okay, bidet. You can always, Apple AirTags. If this man loses his keys or his wallet or his phone all the time, that's such a good gift. You could get him slippers, headphones, a muscle massage gun, a Theragun. Yeah, cologne. I think those are all solid gifts. Something that he's been wanting or needing, or you can always do like kitchen appliances if he likes to cook, or hone in on his things like golf, get him some polos, or get him his favorite shorts, or like, I think that was a lot of ideas. Let me know if that was helpful. That's what I would get him. And that's what I have gotten Carter. Okay. Advice for living solo. Lived with roommates for years and ready to finally have my own space. You're going to love it. Okay. If you feel like the itch to live by yourself, you are going to love it. Tips. I mean, what else do you need? You're going to go home and be by yourself, and the peace and quiet and not having to answer to anybody. If you're a person though who really enjoys friends and being around people, it's definitely going to take more effort. I've never dealt with that because I don't really like people and I like my own space, but you'll just have to obviously try a little harder to like make plans. But honestly, girl, have so much fun. Oh, living by yourself is the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm never going to be able to live by myself again, which is sad. Okay, where would you want to go out if you want to meet someone not on a dating app? Okay, obviously you can go to a bar, which to each their own. Obviously there are tons of people you can meet. I would say hang out with friend groups or your friends that have guy friends. That's a good way to meet. And like, obviously if they're friends with your friends, that's great. I would join like a running club or a pickleball club or a sand volleyball club, like things where there's lots of people. As adults, like there are a lot of, me and Carter were just talking about this, like how neither of us would do that now. But I'm like, if you're a single person and you don't have many friends, you just moved to a new place, that's a perfect way to meet people. And he was like, no, totally, you're right. Like I did sandbar volleyball with one of my friend's boyfriends, and then I met all of the people on the team and like teams we played against. Like it's such a good atmosphere. I think those are my tips. You really just got to go to things where there are lots of people, but like you can go to a coffee shop, but that's not a place where people approach others. So like any sort of sporting thing, or it doesn't have to be like a pottery class or like whatever your interests are, but there are so many things. Look on Facebook. But probably those are my favorite tips, either in a group like that or through friends. You kind of just have to go out and do the whole thing. Okay, I just got cut off, so hopefully I know where I'm starting. My girl asked, how did you maintain a school/life balance in college? I'm in sports science too, and it's hard. Okay, I'm gonna be so fucking for real. College was like pretty easy for me. I worked all of college, which I've talked about. So this is coming from like my lens. Just remember that. But one thing that I will say is like be an anti-procrastinator. The second that you can get done an assignment, a paper, or get ahead, do that. That way, like during the week, you go to class, you do all of your shit, and then on Friday and Saturday, you can go out. My freshman year, I was really good about this. Like I would go to class. I always worked typically 2 to 7 every day and then 9 to like 3 or 5 on the weekends. But I would get stuff done ASAP. So then Fridays and Saturdays, I always went out. And then I wasn't freaking out about a paper. So you just have to get ahead of the game. Study not the day before the test, but the week before the test. That way you're prepared. Like if you want to be better about it, you're clearly already in the right mindset because you're aware of it. So just be better about planning and being diligent and getting ahead of things. That way you can go out or you can live your best life. But honestly, in college, like I went to class and then I worked. After my freshman year, I really didn't hang out with that many people. I just worked constantly. So I'm not the best person to speak on this, and I don't really like people, and I don't like drinking or going out, so I didn't. So for a person who enjoys like going out and living the college life, I might not be the best person, but I think it really just takes a little bit of extra planning and just being ahead and not procrastinating things, and then you can go out and be guilt-free. Can you talk more about saying I love you to Carter? I am so nervy to tell my boyfriend, but I know I do. I feel like those feelings are always gonna be like nervous and exciting. So Carter and I said it, I think after like 2 months, I don't remember exactly, but we were going through our little cards, Let's Get Deep, the ones that you ask questions about. And something about love came up and I was like, oh, next card. Like, and I made a point to like be annoying about it. And he was like, what was it? I was like, we can't do it. It doesn't apply to us. He was like, hey, and then I got up to go do something and he started shuffling through and he was like, was it this one? Was it this one? He was like, and he at the time also had been wanting to say it. So he finally pulled it up and it was like, when did I know I liked you? And when did I know that I loved you or something like that? And Carter he was like, it was this one, wasn't it? He's like, I knew I liked you on the first date, like the banter, like yada, yada. And I knew I loved you when I just went on my trip and da-da-da. I was like, what? And he was like so casual and calm about it. But that was such a good way to like get it out. But if you feel it, like say it. It is scary, but don't have a prediction or a pressure for him to say it. Like, that's not the point of saying I love you, to get them to say it. It's just to tell them how you feel. So however you want to do it, but I understand the nerves, but that's so exciting and cute. If a man has a fear of committing after 4 years together already, okay, again, you guys, it doesn't matter the thing that they want or are doing. Just like if you're ready to take the next step, whatever that looks like for you, and they're not, like that's a compatibility issue. What do you mean? Like you've been together, fear of committing? How? Like if you guys have been exclusive for 4 years, like what's next? I don't know. Again, I think that's like a big issue, just you guys seeing eye to eye. And I would communicate like, hey, if you're not ready for this, but I am, like, we've already been together 4 years. Like, I respect you and whatever, but this is my boundary. Like, I need to find the person that is ready to take the next step. So that's what I would do. Advice on weirdness, bringing your ex-boyfriend back around friends and family after getting back together. It's going to be awkward at first, but like express to your friends and family, like, just how you're feeling and that things are good. And it's kind of like ripping the Band-Aid off. Like, just start bringing him around. The first time is going to be weird. Like, I did this once. I got back with an ex-boyfriend and we flew to his city, and like seeing his parents, I was like, hi again. But they were so nice. And then it was like nothing ever happened. So that's my thoughts. Okay. When messaging on dating apps, tips, tricks, advice, be yourself, have fun. It's not that serious at all. You can't say the wrong thing. You can't do the wrong thing. Like, just don't put any pressure on it. It's really not serious at all. What is the difference between an avoidant and a narcissist? I don't know. A year post breakup and he's dating a friend that was close to me. Girl, that's not a friend. Goodbye. I'm sorry. That sucks. She has a heartbreak emoji. Cut them both off and delete and block them on socials so you don't have to see that bullshit. Okay, your boyfriend has all female friends. I would never date a man with female friends. Like, that would be a boundary of mine. So don't try and change him. Here's the thing. Like, you knew that from the get-go, I imagine. And now you just have to accept it. So you just have to decide if that's a deal breaker or not, because it's already been established that they're friends. Like, don't try and make him not be friends with him, because he'll resent you for it, or he just won't. So either you have to get with the program and figure out that that's it. But I would have never gone into a relationship with a man with all female friends. That's weird to me. So I would either break up, because if it's something that bothers you, don't try and change him. Just understand that that's who he is and that's not compatible with what you want. And that's it. Gosh, I hate being so harsh, but it's true. Okay. He's texting me all the time, but hasn't asked me out again. We went out about 2 weeks ago. He's a loser. Okay. Moral of the story. And he just wants to pen pal. Again, ick, red flag, do not respond, be done. Like, we want men that pursue us and ask us on dates. Like, anybody can sit and text 24/7. Like, that's not... It's so easy to send texts. Like, you don't even know. He could be talking to a million other girls. Like, a man who wants to date you, okay, just because he's texting you doesn't mean that. And clearly he doesn't, or else he'd be asking you on dates. When a man's excited, he's going to ask you and take you on dates. So he's not the one. Next. Still get so angry thinking about my ex. How do I let go and fully heal? You cut him off and you don't speak, and it's going to take time, or go to therapy. Next. My boyfriend of 2 months told me he was falling in love with me. I feel the same, but is it too soon? No, if you're both feeling the same way, that's amazing. Everybody's so individualized. If you feel that, amazing. You guys are on the same page. No, timing is horseshit. Like, there's no right or wrong time. And also, though, maybe define what like being, because I don't necessarily even know what being in love means, but if you feel you guys are on the same page, that's like the best thing that could ever happen. Amazing. Okay. I have like 3 left. What would Brenna do? How to break up with toxic friends? I would either let it fade away, like I talked about last episode, how you just slowly distance yourself. If this person is not good for you, like, don't make plans, don't necessarily ghost, but kind of just like keep things short. Or if you have to have a conversation because they're not understanding it, just like say, hey, like we need to talk, don't blame, don't say you do this, just say, I'm looking for friends right now that are also like, whatever the thing is that's making it a toxic friendship. Like I need friends that support me and that are positive, and I just cannot have negative people in my life, and I'm putting up boundaries, or like I'm prioritizing work and other things right now. So like I just need a second to like be on my own and just kind of like take my life in whatever direction I'm leading it or it's going. And just be as gentle and kind as you can be. There's no point in blaming them or saying like, you did this and I just don't like that. You did, because they're going to get offended and it's not going to change anything. So that's what I would do. Okay. What would Brenna do if your boyfriend bets on sports / gambles a little too much and it makes you nervous? Again, say it with me. This is a compatibility issue. Like I would never date a man who sports bets. Like I think that's a slippery slope. I think it's immature. I think it's dumb. And I'm not like, you can have your own opinions. This is my opinion, but therefore I would never date a man that does that. I totally understand where you're coming from, how that makes you nervous. But if he gambles now, he's probably going to gamble the rest of his life. So is that something you're going to deal with when you have children and a family, and he's could potentially, even if you make more money, he's probably going to gamble more money. So I would break up with him. I would never date somebody like that to begin with. And again, some people don't see it as a red flag or an issue, and that's okay. But it just depends on what your views are on it. And like, don't try and convince him. Again, moral of the story, I'm sorry if I'm a broken fucking record, but like, don't try and change him. Again, he's going to resent you, or he's like not going to, and then you're still in the same position. And also, it's not your right. Caught it. It's not your right to change him. Like he is a full ass human being. He's going to do what he wants to do, and he should find a partner that supports this addiction. It doesn't need to be an addiction, but it can be. Gambling is a slippery slope. So yeah, that's that. Okay. If her best friend roommate was in a toxic relationship, you got to let it play out. Say your piece. Say, I don't know how I feel about this, but then she's going to do what she's going to do and just be there when it downfalls. I had a roommate who was always in toxic relationships, and I loved her, but like every time she spoke to me and was crying, I was there for her, and then like it would transition and she would break up with that one and then get along to the next one. It is what it is. That friendship obviously grew apart because I just wasn't a toxic human, and then once we didn't live together, it just faded away. But be a good friend, but also don't let it affect you, Okay, last question. I know you and Carter moved fast. How did you know you both felt the same way? We communicated. On our second date, me and Carter had like kind of a deep conversation about something, and then he said like, Brenna, I really like you, which was really nice to hear. I was like, okay, as I'm still forming my thoughts, and like I definitely knew we like vibed and got along. And then on our third date, we did the questions, the let's get deep questions, and we saw eye to eye on everything, like our views. And if we didn't, like he was so understanding, and we could conversate about the issue or the topic, and it was so healthy and natural. And again, like he made it so clear that he was interested, and I said things back to him, and like communication is key, knowing where they're at, knowing you sometimes have to lead that conversation though, be like, I'm really liking where this is going. Like I'm no longer dating other people, yada, yada. And then if he is on the same page, he'll communicate that back to you. But if he doesn't and gets weird about it, then you guys aren't on the same page. So yeah, we moved so fast, but it was constant conversations before we moved in, like months. I mean, it was on like the second week of dating, we were already talking about not me moving in, but just like what that looks like. Holy fuck, I'm definitely a ghost. Okay, sorry you guys. But we were talking about what that would look like, and how like I had never lived with a partner. So I'm like, that scares me. And he was like, no pressure. Do what you want to do. The sun's out. Oh my gosh, I can't. I need to stop looking. Sorry. But I also explained that like I'm super independent and he knew that. So I'm like, it feels like I'm getting rid of my independence and like I don't have anywhere to go if shit goes south. And he was like, I get that. Like just constantly communicating about everything. And that's how I feel like even if you're not on the same page, you can have the conversations and get there and like understand how they're feeling or like what they feel about this. So yeah, just communicating everything. You can never over communicate ever. Okay, you guys, that was it. Sorry, this was kind of lame. Just going through your questions, which I love you. To the people that ask the questions, it's not lame, but not that there was a theme or anything. Next week will be about Carter. And then also you guys message me what other episodes you want, what topics. I'm always open and I do make all of the episodes on things you want to talk about. So feel free to message me anytime about an episode that you want and I will do that. But I love you guys. I hope you have the best week and I'll see you next Monday. Bye guys.